Here is Fariha Khan, special educator from Pinnacle Blooms Network, and today with me accompanying is...
I am Pushpa, Occupational Therapist from Pinnacle Blooms Network, Begumpet.
And we are here back again with another new webinar, with another new topic that is related to special education. So, everyone might know what is the topic, but I'll still bring you to the topic today. Let us just dig out why we came to this topic and how I chose this topic. Okay. So, as I'm a special educator, I will surely speak something that is related to education itself. Right. So, let us just rewind ourselves back to from 21st century to earlier like 70s and 90s centuries, where what was the system of education? Like what was it over there? And what were the children with special needs considered in that era, period of time? So, in earlier 70s, many of the people were unaware of the concept of special education or the concept of people. They are all people who have special needs, or the children who need who are special and who need something special to be treated, right? So many people were unaware about this concept. Even if they were aware, they might not broadly think that these children can be or should be or may be educated as well. So in earlier 70s, there was a system called as exclusion, which was followed in the education system, where the children with special needs were excluded from the society in phase of education. So people used to think that if they have their own independent living, it is much more for them. They don't need to get educated to have a living. Even if they are doing something of their choice, that is more than enough for them. And rest, it is not even necessary for them to be educated. So that was the concept that was being followed in like early 70s. So the concept of exclusion was taken place in that era, and children with special needs were excluded from this part of education. Then what happened? What might have happened? So in early 90s, if we see, the system of education felt that this is wrong. The concept of exclusion will not work if we keep excluding the children from system of education. So they started including them, but not totally or completely. They made a system called as segregation, where children with special needs will have their school called as special school, and children without special needs will go to normal regular schools. So there was two schools that were placed, a regular school and a special school for children with special needs. Then what happened? Children were excluded, children were segregated. What comes next? Next comes the system of integration, which might take place in the early 20s, where children with special needs were integrated with that of not the children without special needs into the same school, but not in the same classroom. The school will be same for the children with special and without special needs, but the classroom won't be same for them. Children with special needs will study in their classrooms, and children without special needs will study in their classrooms. This was the system that was being followed. Even if the child with special needs was able to do some or the other things which normal children can do, he was included in that. But apart from that, he was being taken to the special class, or he was removed from the normal class and taken into special class to teach him something. This was the system which was followed. But what about today? In an era where we are living in 21st century, where everything has changed, where this mindset of people has changed, where the system of education has also changed. So what might have they adopted till now? Now the system of inclusion is being followed. Inclusive education is being followed. So here, today's our webinar, and the topic of our webinar today is nothing but inclusive education, its need and importance. So, what is inclusive education? Inclusive education is nothing but all children, irrespective of their abilities, caste, creed, gender, religion, or these children will be included in the school under the same roof. That is, children with and children without special needs will study in the same classroom. There will be no discrimination done on the basis of their abilities or their disabilities. So, Inclusive education is nothing but a system of education where all children have the right to education and get educated under the same roof. Now this system is being followed. Okay, so what was the drawbacks that led to the introduction of inclusive education? Why not the system of integration was adopted? Because it did not had much of the drawbacks. It had drawbacks. It had the system of in the system of integration. It was the child who was getting adopted to the curriculum of school and not the school getting adopted to the curriculum or prior needs of the child. The child must adapt to the curriculum, the child must adapt to the class setting, or the child must adapt to the school regulation. Instead, school adapting the same for the child. So, with introduction to the system of inclusive education, this barrier was also removed. Now, the school adapts the curriculum, the school adapts the setting, or school looks into the prior needs of the child, where he or she can study and where he or she can be a part of mainstream society. So this was brought into concept of education. Okay. So now, why is there a need to, what is the need and importance of education? It's inclusive education. So, the first and foremost important need of inclusive education is focusing on the concept of learning needs no boundaries, no bonds. Like there are no boundaries set for a special child or a normal child to fit into that boundary or to try to be a part of that boundary. There are no boundaries for education. The system of education has removed all those boundaries and have set a system where all the children give equal access to the education. The second thing what focuses is that this system focuses on abilities and ignores the disabilities. If the child has few abilities, certain abilities to do something, the school or the curriculum will start focusing on those abilities and to shape those abilities rather than focusing on his disabilities and just segregating him because of that part. So because of inclusive education, the system started focusing on the abilities rather than focusing on the disabilities. So this was taken into account. The next thing which was taken into account is nothing but encouraging the system of UDL. UDL is nothing but Universal Design for Learning. Now what is Universal Design for Learning? Universal Design for Learning is an educational concept wherein the learning is taken into account on the prior needs of the child. For example, if a child is an auditory learner, he best learns with his auditory senses. Then all the concepts that are related to auditory senses will be presented to him. For example, audio books or any audio records wherein he will listen and learn very easily. The concept of education will be best presented in a manner where the child can easily grasp all these things. Similarly, if the child is a visual learner, all the visual related concepts such as flashcards or PPTs or something that can be visually seen by the child will be presented to the child. Instead of a strict curriculum where every child needs to fit in will not be encouraged. The second thing is not only the input will be presented in such manner, similarly the output will also be taken into account in that manner as well. For example, if a child takes some time to comprehend what is being written, so there will be some assistant to guide that child. Plus, he will be given extra 10 minutes of time in order to finish the examination. And if the child is unable to write lengthy answers, he will be given a simple choice of MCQs where he can tick which one is correct. So, the curriculum will be modified according to the prior needs of the child. This has been adopted. Next, what happens is that eradication of the concept of school, eradication of the concept where the child needs to fit in, rather the school will try to fit themselves in. Even if there are any barriers to inclusive education, for example, if a child with physical disability is being a part of this inclusive schools, then the school needs to make sure that school era is not becoming a barrier in his education. For example, if he is unable to walk through stairs, lift should be provided, or ramp should be provided, or he should be accommodated in the class where there is ground floor. Okay, so this will be taken into account by the school management. The next thing what happens what is the benefit of inclusive education is that it develops individual strengths. Now, why are children with special needs called as special? Because they have some special abilities. They may be lagging behind in some areas, but they are a pro in other areas. For example, he may lack in academics, but he might be a pro at painting or dancing or listening to music or any other extracurricular activity, or even though a part of a curricular activity as well. If he is lagging in pre-reading skills, he might be very well versed with hand gripping, hand strengthening, pencil holding, and he might do very well in pre-writing skills. So this develops the individual strengths. This is a platform where it provides children to showcase their talents and feel encouraged to do so. They will not be discouraged because they are lagging in few or the rest of the things. The next thing what happens is it fosters school culture, respect and belonging. When children with and without special needs are presented in the same class and they are spending 6 to 7 hours continuously with each other, they will start respecting each other's differences. They will start respecting each other's culture and their belongings. They will start, instead of degrading them or instead of discriminating them on other grounds, they will start respecting each other. So this will happen when children with and without special needs will be placed under the same roof. The next thing what we will be discussing is the next benefit of inclusive education is nothing but it accepts individual differences. Yes, every individual has their own strengths, has their own weaknesses, has their own differences. So children with special needs will be encouraged to do all the things which they can do and will not be discouraged on other barriers as well. And not only in the school setting. For example, if a child is coming from a rural background, or if a child belongs to a family of narrow-minded people, let us say, so when this child is part of an inclusive school, then this child can educate or encourage this thing, and he can teach these things to his parents as well, that discrimination will not reach something else, but instead respecting that child is priorly needed. So we are not only encouraging this thing to an era of school, but instead we are also educating a community as well, a community of people with some sort of superstitious belief, or a community with people with some sort of myths they are following. So this thing can also be eradicated. The next and foremost important thing what I feel benefits from inclusive education is that the impact of bullying and harassment. So when bullying and harassment when the child is not taught how to behave with a child who is a special child, he will never be able to deal with it. He will instead try himself to isolate with that person, or will not even respect that child. Instead, he will try discriminating on other grounds, or they will start bullying, or they will start harassing. So once they are placed in a same setting, they will not get a chance to do so. So at least by a smaller step of inclusive education, we are actually eradicating a big problem of bullying and harassment in schools as well. So we are actually educating not just one child, but a community as well. The next thing what happens is it develops friendships. So this again is a part where we develop friendships, and we are not judging them on the basis or the grounds where they are disabled or lagging behind. Instead, we are encouraging them in the areas where they can do these things independently. Okay. So the next thing is that this is also one of the most important facts, that children with special needs benefit more when they are placed in general settings rather than when they are isolated from this group. If a child with special needs, say a child with special needs having ADHD, hyperactive behavior, is placed in a general school, so will he be able to show this behavior over there itself? He might show the same behavior a day or two, or at least a week, but after that He will learn the norms and principles of the school, or at least he will start imitating the children. And this modeling behavioral technique will help him to adjust according to the other children as well. He will learn how to respond, he will learn how to communicate, he will learn how to socialize, he will learn how to interact, and this all the areas will surely diminish his hyperactiveness. So we are actually providing so much of solutions to all these problems. The next thing is that in an inclusive school, in an inclusive setting, surely there will be a system where there will be one general educator who will be dealing with the whole class, and there will be one special educator who will be keenly observing other children, or if a child with special needs some assistance, she will be there to assist him as well. So now the general education teacher who has done who is only well versed how to teach regular children will now also learn how to deal with children with special needs. Somewhere she is adapting, she is learning to expand her skills as well. She is learning how to deal with special children, how to adapt to the curriculum according to the prior needs of the child, how to make sure the child with special needs is not left behind in the class. So this will take place when inclusive concept of inclusive education is being encouraged. Now, everything has its own pros and everything has its own cons, right? So far now we have discussed as to what is inclusive education, how we have grabbed this concept from the concept of exclusion, segregation, integration, and then inclusion. And then we have learned how this led to the introduction of inclusive schools in India and other states as well. And then how these things keep benefiting the child in one or other manner, right? Now let us just dig a little deep into this and try to understand what are the pros of inclusive education and what are the cons of inclusive education. So the pros of inclusive education are, inclusive education is there is no child left behind, right? We focus on the concept that no child is being left behind on his disabilities. Instead, the child will be taken into account and his abilities will be encouraged rather than his disabilities, right? Next thing is that we are not educating a system, we are not educating a group of people, but we are educating a community as well. When this gets expanded, say if one community is having one inclusive school, so the children of that school will be able to educate their parents, their families about the concept of inclusive education, and henceforth this might lead to diminishing the thought of discrimination among these children. The next thing is that the school will try to adapt to the curriculum rather than child adapting to the curriculum as well. As we have discussed in the benefits of inclusive or the need of inclusive education, we have learned that the school is adapting according to the child's prior needs and the child is not adapting according to the curriculum of the school. If we talk on the other hand of the inclusive education, then the cons of inclusive education are, inclusive education takes into account only learners who are, only children with special needs who are mild to moderate. So when you are doing this, they are partially including the children with special needs and not totally including the children with special needs. So this again creates a barrier where we are still not completely following the concept of inclusion. So only children with mild to moderate disabilities will be allowed to be a part of this school, rather than other children with severe disabilities will not be taken into account. So this is one of the most big drawbacks of inclusive education. The other drawback is that in a class of 20 to 25 students, or say 12 to 15 students, there are children with special needs and there are children without special needs. So if a child with special needs, say an autistic child or a child who has special needs assistance is placed into this class, or a child with lack of inattentiveness is placed into this class, then he will not be able to adapt to the curriculum which is being taught, because he needs one-to-one assistance in that era, and he will not be able to adapt the complete curriculum, or will not be able to comprehend what is being said. He will not be able to understand or follow the instructions that easily as that of a normal child. So this will again create a barrier, and this will again lag him behind in other areas as well, and the child might go into the sort of depression where he feels that he is unable to do some sort of skills where rest of the children are easily able to do. So this might again impact his behavior as well, impact many areas as well. Another thing is that when there is a class of when there is this inclusive class, the school has to look into each and everything of the child, and the school cannot neglect the child's priorities. If the school is neglecting the child's priorities, then directly or indirectly the school is harming that child, or the child is not being prioritized in a way where inclusive education should take place, right? So the school might not look into every single priority or the need of the child. Some or another way they might neglect. So this might impact the child as well. So this will be there. So as today we have discussed as to what is inclusive education, and how did we come from the concept of exclusion to inclusion, and how the system has adopted this curriculum, and how this benefits, what are the pros and what are the cons as well. Now I would like Pushpak sir to conclude the topic today.
So, as the topic is about inclusive education, I think there should be, like, as we say, there is right of education for every kid. We need every kid to get educated, neither of their disability or something which their condition, whichever they have. So, for that to do, I think the government or the organization which was working for this ADHD or ADD and ASD kids, they should be incorporating more and more ways to do such kind of things, and get this inclusive education available to each and every kid in the nation, so that whatever the fundamental right which we are speaking of, the right to education, will get the proper definition of it.
So I hope with this webinar we have tried to convey an important message as to what is inclusive education and why do we need to encourage this concept and follow this concept of education. I guess this with the help of this webinar, I was able to make you understand today's topic in a broader way. I hope my message has been conveyed to all the audience available over here. Now we will be taking few questions that will be put up by the audiences as well. Let us see.
So, do you have any examples regarding this inclusive education in Hyderabad?
Yeah, there are schools that has been built up slowly and steadily, but this concept has also started in Hyderabad as well, and there are some special schools. For example, Pallavi Model School at Sikandrabad, and this school has many branches as well, and Orchids International School and other international schools as well has started taking into account the concept of inclusion, where children with disabilities and without disabilities are being placed under the same school, and the curriculum has been changed according to the prior needs of the child. The school looks into every single minute details of the child who is with special needs. The child is not being neglected, and they are taking into account everything that needs to be provided to the child with special needs as well. Yeah, so Hyderabad has also started inclusive schools. There are a few of them which have also started following the concept of inclusive education. Yeah, but the thing is that the school is taking into account only the children with mild and moderate disabilities, but not considering the severe children with severe disabilities. As for sure, children with severe disabilities need one-on-one assistance. And there has also been one concept that has been already started in inclusive school, that is a resource setting setup, wherein the child who is a slow learner, or the child who has learning difficulty or learning disability, he will have the access to resource room setting, wherein after the school hours, this children will be placed into resource setting, where the concept will be minimized to an extent and modified to an extent that the child is able to answer to that, understand that concept and give an output as well. And minute changes in the curriculum, like giving them extra little time. There will be an assistant that will be helping them in reading out the questions, that will be there. And their grades will even if the child completes 1/4 of the test paper, he will be regarded as passed and he will not be excluded, or he will be not tagged as failed. His efforts will be seen. And as a universal design of learning has also been implemented in many schools as well, where the children's learning skills or their learning capabilities will be taken into account, and how they will learn will be focused rather than what curriculum asks them to do so. So yes, this has helped children in one or other way to respond accordingly, and children are not taking this as their barrier to education. They have been given some relaxations as well. And for a child with special needs, there are some relaxations where if the child is not well or unable to attend the school, or is not in a mood to attend the school, there will be no certain sort of attendance percentage to make that. The attendance percentage will be lowered, and they do not have to meet the criteria of attendance. This will be there. And other things like calculators will be provided to them in their examination halls, in order for children with dysgraphia, who have problems in understanding the mathematical skills. They will be given calculators as well. And a scribe will be also provided, and certain adaptations and modifications. For example, if the child is having physical disabilities, so prosthetics will be provided to the child. And for example, a flat surface will be provided to the child to make sure or ensure the child is comfortable sitting in his place and doing. And the corners of the furniture which might harm an ADHD child will be covered as well. So these are the minute, what we can say, accommodations and modifications which have been started implementing. And all the examination centers should and must be barrier free. It should not create a barrier for the child to reach the school. That will be there. And these changes have also been made, and this is also being practiced as well. So yes, Hyderabad has adopted this curriculum in a way.
So is it the right time to stress for inclusive education in our society?
Yeah, this is actually the right time, because in a century of 21st century, where we are living in 21st century, we must and should adopt to this curriculum. Because if we start from the beginning itself, if we are allowing a child of 6-year-old or 3-year-old to adapt to this curriculum, or be a part of mainstream society, or be a part of general education, then I think that most of the problems that are occurring later stages of the child can be reduced to a very much extent. And this concept of bullying, harassment, discriminating on the other grounds will be reduced to a very great extent as well. So yeah, this is the right time to accept the concept of inclusive education and encourage it as well.
So some parents are asking, like, what are the general problems faced by the special kids, when they want to ready the kids to go to school?
Problems that are faced by special children in inclusive schools might be that they might feel if there is a class setting, say a class setting where normal children are there and special children are there, even after encouraging oneness or encouraging friendships and accepting individual differences, children with special needs may feel laid back or ignored, because it takes time for a normal child as well to understand as to what is special, like how do children with special needs behave. So they might be laid back, or they might be ignored, or they may or may not, like they may be discriminated on some grounds as well. For example, if a child is physically disabled, he is unable to walk, so the normal children will not accept it very easily. It takes time for normal children to accept it as well, and children with special needs to accept as well. So this bullying, or like minute verbal bullying, can also cause harm to children with special needs. They might not like this environment of school, and then hence this might also create a fear in him to go to the school. He might not like the school environment, so this might be there. So this might directly or indirectly affect him. Once if this affects, then his behaviors will be affected as well. He will start showing tantrums. He will start throwing tantrums, and he will say a no to going schools. So where there is one advantage of including these children with special needs, there is also a disadvantage of increasing certain behaviors, that is odd behaviors or say bad behaviors in children with special needs as well. So yeah, this might be one of the biggest drawbacks for children with special needs.
Okay. So, what are the social skills we need to develop in kids to send them to inclusive education?
Social skills that need to be developed is that we need to start right from our home. Like home is the first school for a child, and parents are the first teachers for children as well. So keeping them, if the child has these special needs, there are some people who do not like their child to be tagged as special, and with that fear they don't let them out, they don't take them to their relatives, so they don't have that exposure to social interactions. So first and foremost, parents should have that courage to accept that their child is special, and he might have his prior needs, and his needs need to be fulfilled, instead of feeling bad about it or feeling ashamed about it. So once parents accept this, they will surely encourage some sort of social interactions. Though we say it in relatives only, this social interactions, if this begins since the small age of 2 to 3 years, so this will not create a barrier for a child to socially interact in a group of 20 to 30 people. So this will not be a big task for him. So this should be started from the beginning itself. Parents taking them to their relatives or their neighbors or their community as well. Or if the parents are staying in a block or an apartment where he can have an access to interact with other children as well, so he must be encouraged to do so, rather than focusing on the fact that their child is special and he should not be moved out of his home. So yeah, this should be there. This should be started from the beginning itself.
So, like, as the children is having lot of behaviors.
Yeah.
So like, how to control them and like how to make him go to school.
Yeah. So we have already discussed that children benefit. Even the system of education or some reports say that children with special needs benefit more when they are placed in general setting. When they are placed in general setting, then only their behaviors will reduce to like 70% of their behaviors will be vanished off. And with proper intervention or the strategies of early intervention when diagnosing at an early stage will also help the parents to reduce that affect that disability on the child to intervening the child at an early stage will help the parent first of all. Second thing is that placing the child into general setting will also help the child his imitating technique. If a child has a concept of imitation or imitating others, so if he will be placed in a general setting, he will start imitating the normal children. So once he starts imitating, it becomes his habit to behave the same way. So once he starts behaving, most of his behaviors will be vanished. And rest, we can also, if the child can be sent to general school in the morning or even afternoon hours, and in evening hours, even if the child is having some sort of extreme behavioral issues, This can be also be taken care at the evening by giving him behavior therapy as well. So he can be a part of inclusive education even if he has some sort of behaviors. So this is there.
Okay. Some parent is asking like, my kid is having problem with writing.
Yeah.
So what are the techniques we can do at home so that like he'll learn how to write?
Simple and see, writing needs motor ability. First, it requires fine motor skills, and motor planning is required in writing. So it is just the work of hands to do something, right? So if we are making him do simple tasks like opening the door, closing the door, picking up something from one place and dropping it, picking and dropping objects, or if we are taking a sponge, what we say, and we are piercing some holes, minute holes, and we are keeping coins in that. So this will increase or improve his pencil grasp, that is there. So when he is able to pick up those coins or remove those coins from the sponge, he is directly or indirectly improving his pencil grips. Simple techniques like pulling off the rubber bands, or tying his shoelace, or buttoning his shirt, or sorting out the beads out, sorting grains out. Different types of pulses can be kept in one bowl, and he should be asked to sort those pulses out, or sorting fruits or vegetables, or sorting something. And activities we can also create a wall, a creative space, where the child will be asked to draw anything of his choice. He should run and draw sleeping lines, standing lines. So this is actually not improving his pencil holding, but also improving his pencil grasp and gripping as well. So very simple day-to-day activities will surely help him. Like if you are going to shopping, so give him a shopping bag of 1 or 2 kg. So if we will be holding that for a period of say 1 hour, this will surely develop or improve his hand strengthening as well. So the minute things will surely in a way or other improve his hand gripping skills as well.
Okay. Another parent is asking, like my kid is able to do writing and reading as well, but he doesn't concentrate more. Like, is there any techniques or like any home-based things to do so that I can make my kid learn in a proper?
Okay, if the child is unable to concentrate, first we need to understand. We should dig into the core root of the problem. Why is this problem happening? Why is the child not concentrating? Is there any distractions for the child, or does the child does not like the activity, or if the child is not in a mood to do so? So we need to understand the why reasons. Why is it making what and why reasons? If we try to understand, then this will be easy for us to act accordingly. So if the child is unable to concentrate because of distractions, we need to try to remove distractions, or take in a room with plain walls, white walls, which are not distracting for him, or the corner spaces where the child is being seated at that place, and the learner or the teacher or the parent is sitting exactly opposite to him. So there is no distractions in his right or left sides. Even if the child is showing distraction or is unable to concentrate, we can take sticky notes or plasters, and we can stick to his right and left side. So when when he easily gets distracted, or he is unable to pay concentration when his eyes keep moving here and there. So we can limit that his vision to only one specific thing, and we can ask him to concentrate of that activity. Now some children do not show concentration when they are not liking the activity. Say teaching a maths concept. If we are introducing numbers to the child, and the child is not paying attention, say meaningful counting. Why should we go in the same adapted curriculum where we need to hold a pencil, where the child needs to hold a pencil and put lines, and to show that he knows that 7 has 7 lines? We can instead use very creative things. For example, if a child likes balls, keep balls in a basket and ask the child count how many balls are there. So this is we are adapting a playway method where the child is also playing and also learning as well. So changing the content for him, or removing the distractions which is unable for a child to concentrate, giving him power grabs for breaks, such as if he is not in a mood, we can encourage him like 5 minutes of play, and after that we will learn something, and then 5 minutes of play, we will learn this thing, and then gradually decreasing that 5 minutes to 4 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 2 minutes, and removing that breaks as well. So this minute techniques will surely help a child to concentrate as well. Yeah, so this is there. Okay, yeah, I hope I have answered all the questions which were being asked in the live session. I hope this webinar was meaningful to me and to you as well. And I hope we have conveyed the message. So yeah, hope to see you soon with next webinar on special education topic very soon. Till then, please take care. Have a safe, evening ahead. And thank you.